Hey everybody, it is Dak here from Theeeeedboys, and today we're going to be talking about NEX. 10 years ago, NEX was added to RuneScape, not Old School Runescape, obviously, as those servers would arrive in 2013, rather. NEX is now making its way to Old School RuneScape, though, with some interesting rewards. First of all, what is NEX? NEX is going to be the 5th God Wars Dungeon boss. In the southern section of the God Wars Dungeon, you're going to find a frozen door. A frozen key is required to get past that door, and beyond it lies the ancient prison, which is where they keep NEX. To get this frozen key, you're going to need 4 key pieces. They are dropped from the God Wars Dungeon bosses and their minions. The bosses themselves are guaranteed to drop a key piece, while the minions have a 1 in 20 chance to drop it. So each general, Bandos, Sarah, Zami, and Arma have their own key pieces. Once you get all 4, you can combine them for a frozen key. This can already be done, even though NEX is not out yet. You can still go check the room out and whatnot. It is pretty cool. I will be saving that for my next First Looks video that I'll be putting out right after NEX releases, though. Let's talk about some of the gear that NEX is going to be dropping. NEX originally dropped 3 different armor sets, 1 for each attack style. We have Virtus, Pernix, and Torba. I'm not 100% sure if I say them all right, but originally Jagex proposed to hit us with that Virtus armor set, which would provide a lot of great bonuses for magic, but after some feedback on the first blog, they decided to be giving us Torva, the melee armor set. Torva gear is very powerful, and for that reason, not very easy to obtain. NEX will drop a Torva full helm, Torva plate body, and Torva plate legs, but they will be broken versions of those items, which is going to be fairly useless until they're fixed. To fix a broken piece of armor is going to require some other new items that are being added to the game, Bandosian components. The components mechanic does show some resemblance to Invention in RS3, taking existing items and breaking them down to other components to then make different items. So to receive Bandos components, you're going to need to break down either a Bandos chestplate or Bandos tassets. The tassets are going to give 2 components, while the chestplate will give 3. Repairing a piece of Torva will require 90 smithing. All of these things are going to be tradable though. The broken Torva, the Bandos components, and a repaired piece of Torva. Let's go ahead and check the stats of the Torva gear, starting with the helmet. The Torva helmet has an astounding +8 strength bonus, first of all. That is very high, with the next best helmet being the Nate is Not Face Guard at a +6 bonus. Basically, every 4 strength levels is going to add a max hit. A single max hit is not huge, and 2 more strength levels in your helm is only half of what you need to gain another max hit, going from, like, I don't know, a 52 to a 53, for instance. But the goal of a new best in slot gear is not to just blow the rest of the gear out of the water, necessarily. 2 more strength bonus from your helm is kind of nice, though. There's also a +1 prayer bonus on the Torva helmet, which is nice, but 2 less than that Nate is Not Face Guard if we're still comparing them. The defense on the Torva helm is also really good, though. It's comparable to a Justiciar helm, though obviously it doesn't have that Justiciar helm's effect if you're wearing the other 2 Justiciar pieces. The Torva helm is going to be a beast, though. Next, we have the Torva plate body. The plate body is going to have a +6 strength bonus, which is 2 more than the previous best, both the Bandos chestplate and the Inquisitor's hauberk, and I guess also the fighter torso could be thrown in there. The plate body has a +1 prayer bonus, which is 1 less than Inquisitor's, but is the same as Bandos. Also, the defense on the plate body is very nice. It's comparable to the Justiciar piece. It's not as good as Justiciar, but it's not supposed to be tanky gear like Justiciar, so the fact that the defense is even close is very solid. The Torva helmet is going to have a higher strength bonus than the Torva plate body, but the plate brings a lot more defense to the table, which is very common if you're comparing helmets and plate bodies. The Torva plate legs are going to be a similar upgrade to the other 2 pieces. There's a +4 strength bonus, which is 2 more than the Bandos tassets or the Inquisitor's plate skirt. Again, we've got a +1 prayer bonus, which is equal to the tassets, but 1 less than the Inquisitor's. And again, the defense is very nice. Not quite as good as Justiciar legs, but it's close. In fact, the range defense on Torva legs and Justiciar leg guards is the same. Each piece of Torva armor does require 80 defense to wear. The full Torva set's going to have +18 strength, +3 prayer, and some very good defensive stats. Not quite as tanky as Justiciar, but it's not supposed to be. The next item we have is the Zarya Crossbow, requiring 80 range to use. For quite some time now, the Armadillo Crossbow has been the most powerful crossbow, unless you're fighting a dragon, in which case the Dragon Hunter Crossbow is very, very good. The Zarya Crossbow is going to be dropped similar to the Torva gear, broken. To fix a Zarya Crossbow, you're going to need 2 different things. First, some Nihil Shards. 250 of these shards are required to fix the crossbow. They are going to be dropped from NEX, but also they'll be dropped from other monsters within NEX's lair. You will also need an Armadillo Crossbow to fix the Zarya Crossbow, but you're not going to have to break down the Arma Crossbow into components like you did with the Bandos and Torva armor. This Zarya Crossbow is going to have a +110 range bonus, which is all about accuracy. The Arma Crossbow is sitting at a +100 range bonus, so the Zarya Crossbow is going to be about 10% more accurate. It has a +1 prayer bonus just like the Arma Crossbow, and it does shoot at the same speed. The Zarya Crossbow has a nice passive special effect though, which enhances all bolt special effects by 10%. The easiest example of how this works would be Enchanted Ruby Bolts. Normally the Enchanted Ruby Bolts have a special effect that hits 20% of the opponent's remaining health with a max hit capped out at 100. So a monster with more than even 500 health left, you can land a 100. And even if you're landing just 60 pluses with the Ruby Bolts, they are very nice. Ruby Bolts and a Zarya Crossbow will instead hit 22% of remaining health on your opponent, and it's maxed out at a 110 instead, which is actually really sweet to hit a 110. The crossbow also has a special attack. When you use the special attack, as long as the attack lands, basically as long as it doesn't hit a 0, even though you can roll between 0 and your max hit when it does land, it's guaranteed to use your bolt's special effect. So if you use the crossbow's special attack and it does land with a Ruby Bolt, you're guaranteed to hit that 22% remaining health from your opponent. Zarya Crossbow also has defense bonuses on it. It's not a lot of defense, but there's 0 defense stats on the Armor Crossbow, so it's all bonuses for sure. Next, for the next drops, we have another piece of range gear. Jagex has been trying to give us a new best in slot range glove for a while now, and at the moment, Barrow's gloves are still the best range gloves in the game. Next is going to be dropping the Zarya Vambraces, which are going to be better than the Barrow's gloves for range, but they will not require Barrow's gloves to repair. Next is just going to drop fully usable Vambraces. Zarya Vambraces have a plus 18 range bonus, which is 6 more than the plus 12 bonus in range accuracy that you get from Barrow's gloves. Also, the new Vambraces will have a plus 2 range strength bonus, which is very nice. Not a lot of gear outside ranged ammo comes with a range strength bonus on it. Plus 2 is not huge, but the jump from 0 is a welcomed one. Barrow's gloves still have a better defense bonus, plus they're second best in slot for both melee and magic, so they're very helpful if you're fighting something that requires a lot of gear switches. These gloves are not meant to replace Barrow's gloves altogether for ranging, but they are giving us a new option for the best damage per second with range. Barrow's gloves are awesome, but doing Recipe for Disaster is not really endgame content, so they really shouldn't be best in slot for anything. As with every other God Wars dungeon boss, there will be a God Sword from NEX, the Ancient God Sword. Just like the other God Swords, NEX is going to drop an Ancient Hilt, and that can be attached to a completed blade to make an Ancient God Sword. The God Sword has the same stats as any other God Sword, but it has a unique special attack, which is pretty much catered towards PvP. At least that is Jagex's goal with it. So as long as your attack lands, it'll hit for an extra 10% damage and start up a timer which lasts for 8 ticks or just under 5 seconds. If the target does not run at least 6 squares away before the end of that timer, they're going to be hit for 25 damage, and the user of the special attack will be healed for 25 damage. This does not mean they have to run 6 squares away from the original spot that the special attack was used. This is 6 squares away from whoever used the attack. So in other words, if you get hit by that spec and somebody's chasing you down after you're running away from them and you're waiting to take that 25, you got to get pretty far away from them. You're not running from the original spot it was used, you're running from the person who used it. I can see how this also could be used in PvM still, since NPCs don't tend to run away from you. You're pretty much guaranteed to heal 25 with the spec. I don't know if it's more helpful than other spec weapons necessarily. We will see though. The next couple of drops aren't necessarily pieces of gear, but they are still interesting, unique drops. First, we have the Blood Essence. Blood Essence is going to be something that's dropped from every monster in the Ancient Prison, apparently, not just NEX. Blood Essence is going to be stackable and tradable. If you activate a Blood Essence, you'll have a 50% chance to craft extra blood runes when you're rune crafting. You can only activate 1 Blood Essence at a time, and each essence will have 1,000 charges. In other words, 1 Blood Essence is pretty much equal to 1,000 blood runes, but you got to go make the blood runes yourself. This is a nice way of adding skilling supplies through bossing without ruining the skilling methods that are already in the game. Rather than just dropping blood runes, it drops a boost for going to get more blood runes when you actually go to runecraft them. For the most part, I imagine PvMers will just be selling these off to the skillers that'll then be getting blood runes, rather than a bunch of them just grinding out their own blood essence to use them. But overall, it's going to add more blood runes in the game while still making blood rune crafting a viable option, in fact, a necessary option. Next, we have the Nihil Shards, which are another drop that won't be only obtainable from NEX, but the other monsters within the prison. We brought this up earlier. You do need 250 Nihil Shards to fix a Zarya Crossbow, also an Armadillo Crossbow to fix the Zarya Crossbow. We brought up earlier that you're going to need 250 Nihil Shards to fix a Zarya Crossbow with an Armadillo Crossbow. You're also going to be able to grind the shards into Nihil Dust, though, which can be used on a Dwarf Weed Potion to make an Ancient Brew requiring 85 Herb Lore. This potion is going to act like a Magic Potion and a Weak Prayer Potion combined. It'll temporarily raise your magic level by 5% plus 1. So if you're currently at 60 magic and you sip the potion, it'll give you a plus 4 boost, which is equal to a magic potion at that point. And you could get up to a plus 6 boost, as long as it rounds up if you're at 99 magic. It's also going to restore your prayer points a little bit. It'll be 10% of your prayer level plus 2, which is something like about a third of the power of a prayer potion, depending on exactly where your prayer level's at. It can also raise your prayer above your max prayer points by 5%. It's not that far over your max, but still it is an interesting mechanic. The Ancient Brew is weaker than an Imbued Heart for your magic level, and it's weaker than a prayer potion, even with that extra mechanic on it. I don't see it as being a crazy good option, but the 2 potions in one could make for some solid uses. Finally, we have the ecumenical key shards. Very simply, Nex is going to be able to drop some of these key shards. How rare they are and how many of them at a time does remain to be seen. You will be able to turn 50 key shards into an ecumenical key as long as you don't already have the maximum amount of ecumenical keys in your bank or your inventory or wherever. So it looks like an interesting way to be able to stack up a lot of keys at a time. You still can only have a max of 5 keys, but I don't see any like max of shards that you have out there other than a typical max stack. But if you had 5 keys in your bank, you use them all up, then you could turn 250 or so shards into 5 more keys, and you really wouldn't have to spend that much time in the Wilderness God Wars dungeon as long as you already had collected a bunch of key shards. I imagine Nex will not drop these shards at a common pace, so collecting a ton of them would not be a quick task. Plus, I haven't seen anything on whether or not they would be tradable. I assume they would not be tradable, otherwise you're basically making ecumenical keys buyable, so folks could just skip the Wildy God Wars dungeon, even if they can't manage Nex kills. I feel like Jagex goes out of their way to make sure they let you know when an item isn't tradable though, so the fact that I either missed it or they didn't say anything about it, maybe these will be tradable, we'll see. I am extremely excited for Nex to come out. A lot of those items are very interesting, and it looks like they're going to be implementing them very well. I love the idea of using previous best-in-slot items to make some of the new things, like Torba and the Zarya Bow. This is going to help keep prices of the Bandos items and the Armor Crossbow at a high, and at the moment, it's already doing great work for those items. If you go check the prices out right now, they're looking very, very nice. Even outside of the new best-in-slot items being added in, which is always very exciting, some of the other items like the Ancient Brew, the Blood Essence, and especially the Ecumenical Key Shards are going to be very interesting add-ons too. What remains to be seen is exactly how the fight goes down in terms of speed of kills, how much it costs to kill, and how rare the items are, of course. We'll see how this balance comes out, but in general, Jagex has been very involved with getting feedback from the community about making things helpful but not overpowered. Even if some of these items are too good or maybe not good enough right as they're released, they can always be updated. That's about it for this look into Nex, the 5th General, the upcoming God Wars Dungeon boss. I'll definitely be fighting Nex right when it comes out on January 5th, and I plan on making an early looks video when I get some of those kills in. Thank you very much for watching this video, everyone. If you enjoyed the video or you just got some useful information out of it, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. I do stream on Twitch, which should be linked on the screen and in the description. I am also on Twitter and have a Discord, which are linked in the description. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and best of luck with your grinds.